Hey, welcome to the training where I'm breaking down the IG growth funnel in a crash course. And this is for high ticket coaches, consultants, and agency owners. My name's Hugh Robinson. If you're watching this, chances are we've had a little bit of a conversation prior to this. So you're going to know a little bit about me, but I will go into a little bit more detail around who I am and also the value of what I'm teaching here. So, just a little bit of context. What I'm sharing here is based on the AMPLIFY model. AMPLIFY is a coaching program that I'm launching in the near future, and there's three core components that kind of bring everything together. The first is the compound method. So I talk about this in some of my Instagram content, but the compound method really is the overall business model. And this is how we're able to compound clients over time. So using a recurring revenue offer. But this is also the same principle of compounding followers, leads, and again, clients. So it all kind of comes into the same emphasis around the business model. The second thing is self-leadership. And this is everything from living true to your values, looking after your health, looking after your mindset, but also how you show up within your personal branding and your content. Your content is a direct reflection of your self-leadership. So that's a huge emphasis that we talk about within the program. And also IG growth funnel. So this is your main kind of source of client acquisition. And this is what we are going to be diving into on this training today. So before we get into it, I just want to give you a little bit of context going into this. So I'm not someone who has just kind of like come up with this after being in the industry for a couple of months. I've been in the industry for 8 years. I started out as an online fitness coach and kind of transitioned more into mindset coaching after that first year, after going through a big personal transformation myself. I grew that business to 6 figures before actually getting a job for my business mentor, where I worked internally for him, doing everything from marketing and running ads, where we run ads for actually over 400 online fitness coaches at one time. Did sales. I was his leading salesperson for a period of time and closed over $1 million in sales for him. And then also coached all of his clients. So I onboarded and took one-to-one calls with every single client that came into the program. So over 400 clients, and also ran weekly roundtables with those clients as well. So had a wealth of experience during the year that I worked for him. And then in 2018, I left that to launch my own agency, where I've been running that ever since, and basically working with a lot of industry leaders in the personal development, spirituality, and also business space. I've worked with over 100 clients outside of the previous business that I worked for in B2B, B2C, BizOp. And I'm just going to share a couple of recent results just so you kind of know that I'm legit. So last month in May, I helped this client generate $135,000 using paid advertising. Some other recent results, we had Caliper, who we helped, it's a consulting program, and a friend of mine who we helped scale from literally zero, brand new offer, to £55,000 a month. And then another client in the spirituality space, and we helped them generate $1.75 million last year. This was only one arm of their business, so they actually have certifications and other retreats and programs, and they're actually an 8-figure business, but they were new to running ads and funnels, and so we set everything up. And just in that arm of the business generated 1.75 million. And a lot of that was recurring revenue as well, selling a kind of mastermind type offer. So as we go into this, I want to break down some of the kind of common mistakes, if you will, and issues that people face with trying to grow on Instagram, and especially in the context of trying to grow on Instagram for the purpose of signing clients. And I want to kind of go through the typical model that most people use for IG growth and stuff that I've personally done in the past without much success. So the first one is posting content and hoping the right people see it. So a lot of the times you're kind of at the mercy of the Instagram algorithm, and your content, even with the best intentions, just doesn't reach the right people, or sometimes just doesn't reach many people at all, which is really frustrating. The other thing is cold DMing strangers and playing the numbers game. I've spoken to dozens of coaches over the last few years who have worked with mentors who have told them just to run a script and message people on Instagram. And when they've complained that it hasn't worked, that mentor has just told them to message more people and told them it is a numbers game. And you might message 100 people to get one client out of it. Chances are you're not even going to do that, right? And the biggest thing for me that I have an issue with is that when people cold message me with a pitch, I instantly either block it or ignore it, right? I would never respond to something that is that direct, and I wouldn't expect other people to do that as well. And if I started doing it myself, that would be lacking integrity because it's something that I don't like or believe in myself. And so I don't recommend that for people. The next thing is something that I personally did last year, which is using trending audio to reach people with your Instagram reels. And I actually got tens of thousands of views or hundreds of thousands of views, tens of thousands of views on individual pieces of content using trending audio. And at the time, it felt great. I felt like, hey, I'm reaching loads of people, I'm making loads of progress. But when I actually went into the analytics, what was happening is I was reaching people in developing countries and countries that I personally do not do business with. You know, my clientele are in Western countries, so in the UK, the US, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. And I was reaching people from, Southeast Asia, Africa, um, South America. And, whilst there's nothing wrong with any of these countries, they're all amazing places, they were not where I was doing business. And so this led to no kind of real business growth at all. It made me feel good getting some views at the time, but the reality is it did not lead to business growth on Instagram. And I ended up scrapping Instagram for a little while. I got really frustrated with it. I thought this was a complete waste of time until I started figuring out this kind of new method more recently, which I realize is where I've been going wrong. And the last thing is running ads to a lead magnet funnel. This is less frequent with people depending on what level you're at. But it's not that this doesn't work, right? I've built multiple businesses myself, directly running ads to challenge funnels, to webinar funnels, even kind of like guides and then following up with emails and things. Like those things all work. But the problem is you need a good budget to get started on those things. And there's minimal room for error, meaning like it's kind of all or nothing. People either go through the funnel and book a call or they don't. Whereas what we're going to go into today is showing you how to actually set things up to be as efficient as possible. Most of the people watching this training are probably making less than $20,000 a month. And so your goal right now is efficiency. You don't have the luxury of spending tens of thousands of dollars a month and letting loads of people slip through the cracks because it doesn't really matter because you're playing such a big numbers game. Like I've worked with businesses that are making seven figures, and to be honest, they're quite sloppy at that level because they kind of just have a lot of money to throw at things, and their approach a lot of the time is just kind of like throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. But when you're starting out and you don't have that much revenue to play with, you don't want to be risking it. You don't want to be taking your hard-earned money and just throwing it down the toilet because you haven't got the right strategy in place. And so I really want to make this kind of crash course give you everything you need to get started. And if you are going to run ads, do it on a low budget that will build up and compound over time because you don't actually need to be spending loads of money to get started with this. So as I said, all of those strategies can work, but there's a more consistent method for growth. And I call this the IG growth funnel. It's broken down into 3 sections, which is followers, leads, and clients. And we need processes to create flow. So what I'm going to go into in this training is how to get more relevant followers. So not just like anybody following your page, but relevant followers, how to turn those followers into qualified leads. So again, the key word here is qualified. We don't just want anybody kind of becoming a lead. We want people to be qualified and the right people and relevant. And then lastly, how to turn those leads into dream clients. So again, key emphasis here is dream clients, not just any client, because I'm sure you've experienced this in the past. I've had my fair share of drainer clients that just drain your energy, time, and just weren't worth the input. And really, we want to be attracting people that resonate with our values, our beliefs, our methodology. We don't want people coming in to work with us that just complain or don't do the work, or they just constantly they just constantly have excuses for why they're not doing things. We want to attract people that are fun to work with, that get results, and that rave about us. So that's really important. And this is how we broke down the process. So first of all, when it comes to followers, we want to see like how we can get more relevant followers. And really there's 2 main processes to do that. First of all, there's organic growth, which is going to cost you time, not money, but it is going to cost you time and energy. And this is, there's a few different ways you can do it. First of all is engaging with other accounts, posting content using relevant hashtags, and using other people's influence. So for example, if you go on a podcast or you do some collaborations with people with content, that's where, your content might be shared on other people's pages and you're able to get people inbound. It's been a little while since I've done this personally, but I used to actually get on a lot of podcasts, especially when I was running my online fitness and mindset program. I actually had a podcast that was trending in the charts at the time, and I'd have a lot of influencers in the kind of fitness and wellness space, and I would essentially borrow their audiences, and I would get people kind of from that, now seeing my content. So on my old Instagram page, which you can search for if you can find that. I grew that to tens of thousands, or about 10,000 followers, using methods like this, which was okay, but it was very slow, very hard, and very, very inconsistent. That's the big thing here, is the level of consistency. It was just completely unpredictable. Now, my recommendation for you watching this isn't that you ignore this and just do the next thing. It is to start with this, because this doesn't take a lot of time. You can do like basic engaging with other people's accounts. It might take you like 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, right? It doesn't take long just to go, to leave some comments, to like people's posts, to engage with people's stories. Like things like that are really easy to do. And I still do that to this day. Like, I think it's really important to go and engage with other people. If you want people engage with you, then go and engage with other people. It's as simple as that. The benefit of this is it's really, really targeted, because you are choosing the pages that you want to engage with, which is beneficial, right? And it doesn't take a lot of time. However, the thing that's going to give you a lot more predictability, a lot more growth, and is a lot more scalable is using paid growth. So the way we do this is we create what we call pillar content that speaks directly to your target audience, and really big on using reels for this. So, it might be 30 to 60-second videos that speaks directly to your target market, that kind of breaks down some value for them, and you're using a call to action to follow your page. The main thing here is you're driving people to your profile. Like, you're not trying to get them to download anything. You're not sending them to a website. You are sending them to your Instagram profile to follow it, right? That's really, really important. And the other thing as well is that we want to make sure that we've set our profile up so that people actually know what we're about. Like, if you don't have any details in your Instagram bio, you need to make sure that you are communicating, who you are, what you do, who you help. And that's gonna help people like understand like the value that you can bring with your content, so they're more likely to follow you. A note here is use original audio. So when you upload a video, if you use like trending audio or audio that's on Instagram, you can't use that in an ad. You have to upload original audio. So whether that's either just you talking, or you use music that you've added in like an app or something like that, and upload that there. Like, you can't use kind of existing music that's on Instagram or trending audio, because it just won't allow you to use that as an ad, which is annoying, but it is what it is. And then, as I said, make the call to action to follow your page. And then what we're going to do is you might have 3, 4, 5 different videos, and you can rotate these as well depending on your budget, or you can just have one to begin with, and you're going to boost that video to a targeted audience for a set budget. So again, you could start this for as low as $2 a day. You don't need to be spending loads of money to do this, but the level of growth is going to be dependent on how much you spend. So obviously, once this is working, the idea is that you want to amplify that and increase the spend. You don't want to just stay spending $2 a day if you're getting amazing returns. And that's the thing with this whole funnel structure is going to get you incredible returns compared to, say, running like a lead magnet or a challenge funnel or something like that. So the idea is you get this set up, and then really from there, you can just control the budget to reach more people and accelerate the growth. And this is going to get you more relevant followers, and is going to get more people reaching out. So the next thing we want to look at is how to turn followers into qualified leads. And as I touched on briefly before, first of all, we want to make sure that your profile is optimized. So you want to have a direct call to action for a valuable resource, and you want the call to action to be messaging you a keyword to gain access, right? And it needs to be valuable to the audience. This is really important. And if you're just kind of guessing like, hey, I'm just going to put this thing together and hope that people want it, it's going to be a massive waste of your time, and it can be really demoralizing when you do that. So there's a couple of things you can do. Like, if you have if you know that people follow you already, who are your target audience, then you can do things like put out polls in your stories, or you can put up open questions saying, hey, I'm creating a free crash course or a free training on X, Y, and Z, or it might be like A or B, like two different options. Which would you like to see the most? And then let people vote for that. And that's going to give you good feedback and see if people actually want what you have. Then what I would do is test it. So before you actually build the resource, put a post out and say, hey, I'm putting together this free resource or this free training on how to X, Y, and Z. If you want access, message me the word, I don't know, training, and I'll send it through to you. And then you might have a few people reach out and say, hey, yeah, that sounds great. In which case you can just say to them, hey, I haven't actually recorded it yet, but it's coming soon. And then if you've had good feedback from it, you can go and record it. If you haven't, then no need to record it, right? Or if you've just had like one person reach out, then you can kind of just explain to them. And that's what I do. Like, I've been doing this for years in terms of creating free resources and trainings and stuff. And like, what I've found is you just need to not get attached to it. So if you put something out and it flops, then don't worry. Just like do a bit more market research, speak to people, see what they're struggling with, see what they want the most. And then from there, you're able to get more knowledge on what's actually valuable to people, so you can create that resource and put that together. That's why this whole training exists. I've done market research, I've spoken to people, and I've based it on this. And I actually put a tester out a few days ago and I said, hey, does anyone want this resource? And people reached out and they wanted it. So I was like, okay, I better create it. So that's what I do. I take action fast and then adjust along the way. It's really, really important. And a big emphasis, like I'm always big on, is like, make sure you you take action above all else. And something my mentor taught me is like, action precedes clarity, not the other way around. Like sometimes we're waiting to get clear on things before we take action, whereas in reality, just take action, get feedback, and that's going to give you the clarity that you need. So next, we are jumping in to promoting this in stories. So there's a couple of things you can do here. So first of all is you want to give more context of what problem this solves, who it's for, and what it can help them achieve. So if you've got a training that's 10 minutes that's, is focused on one specific problem that your audience is struggling with, you can mention that audience in the copy as well. Like, hey, this is for this type of person and what it can help them achieve. So usually the achievement is the opposite of the problem. It's solving that problem. What does that do for them? Call to action is similar to before, like you want them to message you a keyword to get access to it. And then what you can also do to accelerate this is use ads to retarget your video views and page engagement with story. So if you're putting out reels and you're getting video views and you're getting people just interact with you daily anyway, through, they're finding your profile, or you're going out and you're interacting with other people and they're coming to your profile, you can retarget that audience. So you can set up an audience on Facebook ads and you can create what's called a warm audience, and then send that story out to them as retargeting. So it just rotates and they might see it every few days or once a week. And that's going to get you some bonus people reaching out. And again, like as you expand and as you grow this and you spend more budget on the video views that we talked about previously, it means you can spend a little bit more on the retargeting and get more people in that way. I'm just going to plug in my laptop because we're about to die here and I don't want to cut out on you when I'm halfway through the training. So here we go. Cool. We are still standing. That's all good. Okay, and then the last one is promoting the valuable resource in educational content. So what we can do is, if we want to build a bit more context before people ask for it, we can break down more of the process in a carousel post. So this is like using, it can be anything up to 10 individual kind of image posts as a carousel that they scroll sideways through. And this is a newsfeed post, not a story post. And what this does is it just builds a little bit more kind of trust and authority before they actually ask for the resource. And then this is kind of a good way to qualify people even more. And then on the last kind of post of the carousel, the last page of the carousel, you want the call to action to message your keyword to get access to the training. So you might take like a 20-minute training, and then maybe there's some key points that you're just going to bullet point and put in a carousel. And then from there, it builds a little bit more context, so people are more likely to actually ask for it. And that's going to, as I say, build more trust and authority. Then what you can also do is use ads to retarget your video views and your page engagement with that carousel post as well. Now, one of the reasons I suggest using a carousel post over, say, like another reel is because people like your images and your carousels is technically multiple images, but when you put an image post out versus a video, there it's most likely going on the newsfeed to your followers. When you use a reels are good for reaching new people, and that's the kind of difference there. Like your followers probably will see your reels as well, but realistically, like if you post a reel, a lot of people who see that are going to be people that have never heard of you before. Whereas if you post a carousel post, that's mostly going to go to people that are already following you. And that's what we want here. We want to engage people that are already following you. That's why stories are good as well. And that allows you to reach people who are a little bit warmer to you. Like you can, by all means, test taking this to a cold audience, but there's just going to be a little bit less trust and authority there versus taking this to people who already follow you or have engaged with you in the past or watched one of your previous videos. And then, to bring this all home, like, and get to the bottom of funnel here, what we're talking about is how we actually turn those leads. So we've had people reach out, they've messaged us a keyword because they want access to that training, that resource. And how do we take them and turn them into clients? Well, there's two processes to do this. The first one is called consultative setting. Now, this is something that you can run 24/7. This isn't something that you just do once a week or once a month. Like you can always do this. And what you're going to do is use a consultative process through Messenger to find out what problems people have, what they've tried already, what they're working towards, and you can offer to help by jumping on a call together. Right. I'd still obviously send them the resource that they've asked for, but then you can ask these questions. And it's really great to, if you just go and try and message somebody and ask them, hey, what goals are you working towards right now? If they're not qualified or if they've not seen you before or they've only just seen a bit of your content, the chances of them replying are very, very slim. Whereas if somebody has come to you, they've messaged you because they want access to a resource and you say, yeah, here you go, here's the resource, whether they watch it or not, you've opened up the barrier to then come in as an authority and say, hey, do you mind if I ask you a few questions? And then that's where you can find out about their goals, and then you can find out about their problems, you can find out what they've tried before, and then you can come in as the consultant and use consultative setting to say, hey, well, actually, I have some ideas that might help you. Do you want to have a chat about it? And it's a completely different frame from just cold DMing somebody and trying to pitch somebody on an offer. And then what you can do here is you can basically, I just realized I've left the same bullet points on the previous slide, but what you can do here is you can take somebody through a process, you can find out more about them, and if you want to jump on a call, jump on a call. Now, there might be people you speak to and you're having a chat to them, and you might realize, like, actually, like this person's like completely not who I want to work with, or like I don't know why they've messaged me because they're just like irrelevant to the market that I work with. And you don't need to offer them a call, right? And this is the beauty of this, because when you run a typical lead magnet funnel, whether that's a guide, a challenge, a webinar, most of the time it's kind of all or nothing. They go through, they book a call, or they don't. Whereas with this, because they're in Messenger, you can follow up with people. So you might send a few messages to someone and then they don't reply. And then a few days later, you just follow back up with them and say, hey, didn't hear from you before. I just want to just want to check in and see, what your reply is, or, something along those lines. Or if you have another resource you can create, then you can go back to them and say, hey, I've just created this new resource. Thought you might want it, and you can send them it. So it's a really kind of interactive platform in that sense. Like you can have multiple touch points with people, and also you're constantly doing market research, because when you're having conversations with people, they're talking about their goals, they're talking about the problems they're struggling with, what they've tried before. That's all really good market research for you. Like as if you're having a sales call as well. It's really good market research for you. So you can use that. And that's going to help you create more content. That's going to help you create more stories. That might help you create a new valuable resource to create if you want to update or create a new one, right? Because this isn't something you just create once. The chances are you're probably going to adapt and evolve this over time. And that's going to be really, really useful for you having these conversations. And these conversations don't take a lot of time, like I'm not spending all day, every day in Messenger. Like if you're cold DMing people, like it takes a long time. This is something you just check a few times a day, you check in with people, you move the conversation along, and it's easy, right? And you're helping people. It feels good because you're actually coming in from the right frame as a coach. You're coming in to help people. You're not coming in asking for something. You are the authority, the expert, and you are helping that person, and you are guiding and leading them to the right opportunity. So it's really, really powerful. And then the second way that we can promote this is more seasonal. So this isn't something that we do every day. This is something that we might do every few months, which is a direct offer promotion. So you can talk about this in your stories and your posts. So you can hype this up loads. Like, this isn't something you just post once. You might talk about this for like 2 weeks. And this is great for a new offer launch. And this is initially what we do with every client. So even if you have an offer, what we want to do is we want to essentially build up and do a relaunch of that offer to get people off the ground, because there's probably loads of people that follow you now that you don't even realize could be potential clients, but you've just not put the offer out in the right way. So we want to do this every kind of few months, because you're going to scrape up a load of people that are probably been following you, but they just haven't heard the right words from you to convince them to want to take action. So we want to put out an offer sequence and talk about your offer in a really exciting way. And you need to get excited for that offer as well. It's really important. And the other thing you can do moving forward is, if like, rather than just like having this as a new offer all the time, there might be just things you're doing like updating the program. You might be updating the pricing potentially, like you're increasing the pricing soon. So get in within this time frame. Otherwise, the price is going to increase. Or you might be offering bonuses for a certain amount of time as well. Let's say, for example, you've got a group coaching program. Then one of the bonuses that you might be running for like the next 3-5 people that sign up might be, you might be offering a few one-to-one sessions with yourself to do that. And then you can also do this subtly when you're sharing case studies. So that is something you can do more consistently. Let's say you're sharing case studies every week. At the end of that case study, you might just give like a soft offer. So like, hey, by the way, if you haven't checked out our Amplify program, then message me the word Amplify and I can send you the details so you can find out more about that. And then this ties together with your direct offer promotion. Cool. So just recapping the process, what we have gone through so far is how to get more relevant followers. And we can do that both with organic content and paid ads. When you get started, I would 100% do both because you're not going to have a massive ad budget for just relying on ads. So you do want to do organic as well. I'm not here to shit on organic marketing. I think organic marketing is great. The problem is the algorithm, and we're having to play into that with Instagram, especially a lot more than other platforms. Like Instagram's a lot harder, but it's not without its purpose. So it's still important to do that. Then we went through how to turn those followers into qualified leads, and that's using a valuable resource to hook people in and get them to directly message your page. And we set our profile up and optimize our bio so that people are going to message us as well. And then lastly, how we can turn those leads into dream clients through Messenger, and then setting calls using the consultative setting process. So that's the kind of 3-stage funnel for the IG growth funnel. So we're consistently growing our followers with the right people. We're consistently getting new leads reach out who are qualified and actually resonate with what we do and who we help. And then we're consistently able to take those people and turn them into clients. And from there, we're able to consistently grow the business, right? We're able to compound clients over time. And if you have the right offer in place, like you've got a recurring offer, not just a one-time offer, then you're not starting every month from zero. Like the first month you launch this, maybe you get 5 clients and maybe they pay you $1,000 a month, right? So that's $5,000 a month. Great. Month 2, you do the same thing. You don't even increase it. You do the same thing. You sign another 5 clients. Now you're at $10,000 a month, and then so on and so forth, right? If you have a more valuable offer that's higher priced, like obviously you can increase that. Or if you're spending more on ads or you're driving things harder, you can potentially sign a lot more than 5 clients. But that's just an example, and that's how we're able to compound over time and build things up, rather than having like sprints, having a load of clients come in and pay and then nothing, or starting every single month from zero. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick, because this gives a lot of peace of mind and it makes scaling a lot simpler. I've worked with clients where they've scaled to multi-7 figures and even 8 figures using kind of more outdated methods that's very, very dependent on new clients all the time. They don't compound anything. They just have like a set one-time 12-week program and then nothing else. And that is a very stressful model for everybody involved. And the only way for them to scale is to get more clients and to charge more. And that always ends up in the same result. People burn out. The market doesn't like it because they're having to pay an absolute fortune to work with somebody. And everybody in the team and the sales team, they're just tired because they're just constantly having to push harder and harder and harder. Whereas with the compound method, you're able to create sustainable growth. I was going to say slow, but it's not necessarily slow. This can be quite quick to get started, but it's sustainable and it compounds and it builds and builds and builds. So really, really powerful. If you've any more questions, just drop me a message on Instagram. Hopefully this was super valuable. It's given you a lot of insights. If you do want to find out more about our Amplify program, then again, just reach out and I will send you the details. There's no hard pitch because I work one-to-one with people in this. So for me, like, I want to make sure I'm working with the right people. I'm not just going to try and hard sell people for the sake of it and then end up with like a weird coaching dynamic of somebody that doesn't actually want to work with me. So feel free to reach out about that, or feel free to reach out with any questions. Hope you found this super valuable and have an awesome rest of your day.